Hello, today's bullshit BS is about oil. I keep seeing people complain about, I don't know how to figure out what kind of oil is in my vehicle. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I looked it in the manual and I couldn't find it. Well, there's actually a lot of information in the manual about your oil, the oil viscosity, when you're supposed to change it, how do you check it, and most of this is common sense. I mean, if you don't have the manual, you can go to www.hkona.com and the online manuals are there. You're welcome. All right. So, but here's again 2018 owner's manual, the elusive owner's manual that nobody knows how to freaking use. Well, here it is. So today we're going to be talking about what kind of oil your vehicle takes. Now I have an 18 manual. So this gives me the 1.6 turbo and the 2.0 non-turbo. So again, if you don't have a manual, you can easily look it up on hkona.com, or you can contact a dealership, but be careful of a dealership. The reason why the engine in my Kona went at like 8,000 miles is because the dealership screwed up. And then it took me 3 years for them to eventually pay me back for damages incurred in that. So, I digress on that mess. But here we go. So, how do you check the oil on your Kona? Well, if you have a 2.0, you look for the dipstick. If you have the 1.6, you're looking for a dipstick. All right? And we are going to talk about how to find that. All right, so here we're on page 7-3. You can see the 1.6 gamma at the top, the 2.0 at the bottom, and they tell you where the, let's see, engine oil dipstick, number 6. Well, on the 1.6, where mine is, it's right there, right behind the alternator. And on the 2.0, it's literally in the middle of the engine cover. Well, that's convenient because on this one, you have to do a lot of work. This is right in the beginning when they started having piston ring problems. So in order to check oil, at least you know where it is. It's right there. It's typically yellow. Some cars like Mazdas are blue. My Nissan was orange, but they're usually a yellow or some kind of bright color to differentiate it. Right? The actual engine compartment in the vehicle may differ from the illustration. Well, that's pretty good for the 2.0, and it doesn't match my 1.6, but mine's modified, so most of this is different anyway. Let's see. What does it say here? What does it say here? Following the list are the following are lists of vehicle checks and inspections that should be performed by the owner or an authorized Hyundai dealer at a frequency indicated to help ensure safe and dependable operation of your vehicle. Any adverse conditions should be brought to the attention of your dealer as soon as possible. In all honesty, I don't recommend going to the dealer unless it's a warranty issue. But I guess that's just me. So these owner maintenance vehicle checks are generally not covered by warranties and may be charged for labor, parts, and lubricants used. Now, this is page 7-5. What I need is actually on 7.6. So that's what that's about for the 2.0. Now, this is listed for both engines, but the 2.0, again, has that recall, and they recommend, whenever you stop for fuel, to check your oil level. Does anybody do that? No. But it's actually recommended in the maintenance part of the manual. It's as if they may have thought there might have been a problem. Or they're just covering the rear. Right? So let's see. Page 7-8 and 7.7. Scheduled maintenance services. The following normal maintenance schedule if the vehicle is usually operated where none of the following conditions apply. If any of the following conditions apply, you must follow the maintenance under severe usage conditions. So this is just wacky. And I admit that it's a little nutty. People don't seem to understand that all of this is considered severe use. And it's just about anywhere in the United States your vehicle is going to be considered severe use. Repeated short distance driving, like in a city, driving in dusty conditions or in sandy areas. And that could be construction zones, that could be Midwest through the Dust Bowl areas, and it's just about anywhere. Extensive use of brakes, well, that would be like a city. Driving in areas where salt or other corrosive materials are used. That's everywhere north of, like, Florida. Because, like, I'm in North Carolina and there's salt on the mountains and the roads. From up north, I'm from New York, and we have salt. I actually live by the water off Atlantic Ocean in Long Island. So you have salt water, salt on the roads, brine on the roads. Yeah, so that's a good amount of the country. Driving on rough or muddy roads. Well, that's if you're in the back country, maybe in a construction zone, or a lot of people like to make the Konas kind of off-roady looking and show they can go off-road, but they're not really an off-road vehicle. Extended periods of idling or low-speed operation. Well, that's in traffic. Driving for prolonged periods in cold temperatures and extreme humidity climates. Yeah, that's winter, not summer. Okay. More than 50% driving in heavy city traffic during hot weather or above 90%. Well, that's just about every major city in the U.S. For additional information or assistance, see your authorized Hyundai dealer. Again, I don't recommend that part unless it's a warranty issue. So that's what they consider severe use. So that means all of your mileage that they recommend for your vehicle is going to be halved. So here's the normal maintenance schedule for the 2.0. Normal maintenance, 7,500 miles or 12,000 kilometers. And it looks like every 7,500 miles. But again, that's normal use. All right? For severe usage conditions for the 2.0, engine oil and filter, replace every 3,750 miles or 6 months. And then they give you a whole bunch of listings of the special driving conditions. So, severe duty use, so anything that's in any form of actual part of the United States, unless you're in the middle of the nowhere, like Rachel, Nevada or something of that nature, you're looking at about 3,700 miles on an oil change. Again, it depends on what you do with the vehicle. Some of us modified people do even less. We use a high-quality synthetic oil and a filter. We usually do about 3,000 because you'll start to notice your gas mileage drop when you get close to 4,000 miles. Okay, so normal maintenance on the 1.6. Look, 6,000 miles. 6, 12, 18, 24. Strange. Smaller engine, but with the turbo is less mileage. I know why, because of the turbo. Because the turbo is both cooled by engine coolant and oil. So, yep, 6,000 miles all the way across the board for normal maintenance in the 1.6. And 3,000 miles under severe usage conditions. Okay, so anything that's not a normal driving condition, you're looking at 3,000 miles or 6 months, whichever comes first. So even if you didn't hit 3,000 miles in 6 months, you're still supposed to do your oil change. That's why it's 3,000 miles or 6 months, whichever comes first. 3,000 miles for me is about every week and a half. So I change my oil about every 3 weeks. So there's all that good stuff, right? Let's see, what's next? Engine oil level on page 7-21. Gonna check it. You pretty much make sure the vehicle is parked on level ground, make sure it's in park, and set the parking brake. I recommend blocks on the wheels because it does tend to move, especially with the DCT, because it is a manual transmission. 2.0, you should probably just get away with park and parking brake. Turn the engine on, allow it to hit operating temperature. Turn the engine off, wait about 5 minutes for the oil to reach the pan. Pull the dipstick out, clean it, stick it back in, and pull it back out. And it needs to be between the L and the F. Low means L means low, F means full. Now this can change depending on the temperature of the engine. If it's excessively cold outside, the engine may take a little while to warm up and it may sit a little bit lower. As long as it's between L and F, it'll be fine. Usually. On the 1.6, they show you where you put oil there or the funnel. And the 2.0 is pretty much the same position, just a slightly different engine. Okay. Now they recommend, notice, to prevent damage to your engine, do not overfill, do not spill oil everywhere, which makes sense. Okay, they recommend Quaker State. Quaker State is not available near me. I actually use Pennzoil, but some people have Quaker State near them. It's Pennsylvania oil. That's where that comes from. And if you're in California, it contains chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer. But so does everything else. Okay. Now I'm going to turn to page 87. Right there. Okay, and this is going to tell you about the recommended lubricants and capacities. To help achieve proper engine and powertrain performance and durability, only use lubricants of proper quality. Okay, so proper quality, period. So they're not requiring a brand. Okay. The correct lubricants also help promote engine efficiency that result in improved fuel economy. Now here's where it's fun. Oil, drain and refill. You recommend Quaker State, it's not required. You can use any oil that meets, on the 1.6, the ACEA A5B5 classification, and on the 2.0, the API SM3, and the ILSA SAC GF4 or above, that includes GF5, or the ACEA A5B5 classification. So what the fudge does that mean? Okay, so anything that's in the U.S. is going to be at least a GF4. Okay, and now the ACEA A5B5 is still a GF4 oil. It has to do with the base lubricant chemical. If it's petroleum-based or silicon-based, or there's a whole bunch of them. So any oil, just about any oil that you can currently get in the U.S. at major stores like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Pep Boys, Advanced Auto Parts, is going to be a GF4 or higher. So if it's a quality oil by a major name brand, Pennzoil, Mobil 1, Royal Purple, which is still technically Mobil 1 anyway, Pennzoil, Valvoline, all the major name brands are going to meet that specification just fine. All right, so you should be fine on that. The 1.6 actually uses more oil than the 1.4, than the 2.0, sorry. So you got 4.76, most people do 4 3/4, or 4.5 liters of GL4, and the new 2.0, new, that's the engine type, is 4 1/4 quarts, or 4 liters. So you should be fine on that. Anything that is in the proper weight range, which by the way, it varies a lot. It's a huge, huge weight range, will work. Okay. So then we go to this page, recommended SAE viscosity numbers. All right, this is about making sure everything's clean around the dipstick and the filler plug. Engine oil viscosity, or the thickness, has an effect on fuel economy and cold weather operating, engine start, and engine oil flowability. Lower viscosity oils can improve or can provide better fuel economy and cold weather performance. However, higher viscosity engine oils are required to satisfactory lubricate in hot weather. Using oils of any viscosity other than those recommended could result in engine damage. Ask my dealership about how they destroyed my engine. When choosing an oil, consider the range of temperatures your vehicle will be operating in before the next oil change. Proceed to select the recommended oil viscosity from the chart. So, I'm in the United States, we use Fahrenheit, but there's, centigrade up there as well. Pretty much the number, in this case, if I was going from minus 30 all the way up to minus 15 maybe in Fahrenheit, all the way up to above 120 degrees Fahrenheit for outside temperature. 5W30. My hand is shaking, sorry. That's the reason I'm not a surgeon. 5 is the low number. W means winter. So the lower the number in winter, the thinner it is. But it also means less protection. When it heats up, it gets to a viscosity of 30. So it thickens. It gives more protection for higher temperature. The lower the number in the beginning also gives you better gas mileage initially until it warms up. This is why on some vehicles, some of the newer Konas have like a 0.20 weight, which is really thin, but it doesn't get as far on your temperature scale. Now, so you pretty much screwing your longevity of the engine for slightly better gas mileage. Although, as I said, dealership killed mine by putting the wrong oil in. It's not even any one that's on its chart. So, if anybody asks you about 2050, nobody here is going to put 2050 in a Kona, at least in the 1.6, unless you have like 1,000,000 miles on it. But you could. So that's from like -10, what's that, from 20 degrees to 120 degrees. So if you were, say, in Florida, you can get away with 2050. 1540, that's another one that's maybe Florida, southern Georgia. That's fine. 1030 is fine as well. Mind you, when you first start the vehicle, the oil filter is bypassed on all engines. So that thinner oil is going to flow through the system really fast and come back. You may get some glitter-ish wear that you'll find in the pen when you first drain it. That's relatively normal with the really thin oils. The 2018 model doesn't particularly have a thin oil, but the newer models do. Smart stream engines use a really thin oil. Now, 5W30 is what everybody recommends. I use a 540. Sometimes I'll use a 040, depending on what I'm doing with the car. If I'm dynoing it and it's already warm, I'll probably run 0W40. Gives me a slightly higher horsepower torque rating. For the 2.0, you have a 1030 range, which is actually farther than everybody else's. They don't recommend the others, I'm not sure. That's pretty much from 0 degrees Fahrenheit to at least 120, and then 5W20 and 530 go the whole range. So 520 only gives you slightly better range of protection. Okay? So for better fuel economy, it is recommended to use an engine oil of a viscosity of 5W30, and that was the rating from the other page. However, if the engine oil is not available in your country, select the proper engine oil using the viscosity chart above. So 520 is also recommended for best fuel economy. That would be for the 2.0. May not be available in your country. Again, sometimes I'll use 540 on my 1.6, or I'll use 0W40. So that's that. All right, and then everything else in there doesn't help you with oil. But you can always go to the back of your manual and look it up. People tell me all the time that there is nothing in the book that tells you about the engine oil. The other option, you can check the cap. Sometimes some of the models have the oil viscosity written on the cap. Of course, that's for normal use, not heavy, not severe duty use. So, you know, common sense should be able to help you out on that. If not, it's covered pretty well in the book, about 60 pages worth. And there you go. It's not hard to find the information. You can check the manual, you can check the dealership, but take that with a grain of salt. Check hkona.com, which is pretty much your written manuals anyway, in a PDF form. And there you go. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.